These are the 6 used cars you should never ever buy, no matter what kind of deal you are offered. And that comes from more than 20 years of turning wrenches, 50 if I am being honest. And from every one of these vehicles, I watched empty somebody's savings account. I get the same emails and comments constantly. Ray, I am looking at this car, I am looking at that car, should I buy it? The price is really good. And today I am going to save us all a lot of time, because these are 6 vehicles, or really 6 groups of vehicles, where the answer is already no. You do not have to ask me. I do not care what kind of deal you are getting. I do not care if the seller is your own brother. The deal is good precisely because everybody who knows better is walking away, and by the end of this video, you will be one of the people who knows better. Let's get started. Number 1, top of the list, and it will be top of this list until the last one rusts away. The 2004 to 2010 Ford trucks with the 5.4-liter Triton V8, the 3-valve version. That means F-150S, Expeditions, F-250S, the whole family from those years wearing that engine. And let me be precise because it matters. The older 2-valve versions of this engine are not so bad. It is the 3-valve, which is what you get in this year range, that is the heartbreaker. Here is what happens. These engines have cam phaser problems and timing chain problems baked right into them. And on top of that, for whatever reason, the people who own these trucks are champions of skipping oil changes, so nearly every one that ever came across a lift is sludged up inside. All the oil passages, coated and choked, and there is no honest way to clean that out of an engine, no additive, no flush, no miracle in a bottle, because the sludge is baked into passages you cannot reach without total disassembly, and by then the wear is already done. So you have got a design that already eats its cam phasers, marinating in sludge, and when it lets go, the fix is not a part. The fix is an engine. $6,000 to $7,000 again and again and again. Shops all over the country will tell you the same thing. The guaranteed fix is a new engine, and any mechanic who has been at this a while has replaced stacks of them. And here is how it gets you. The truck for sale runs fine. It just has this little ticking sound. That tick is the sound of your savings leaving. By the time one of these is at the auction or in a driveway with a for sale sign, the odds are strong that a new engine is in its future, and the seller either knows it or is about to let you find out. I am going to say it plainly, because I know the emails are coming anyway. Ray, I found a 2005 F-150 with the 5.4, and it is such a sweet deal. I do not care. Do not buy it. Number 2 is a group of vehicles because they all share the same heartbreak. Any year, and I mean any year, of the GMC Acadia, the Buick Enclave, the Chevy Traverse, the Saturn Outlook, and their cousins running the GM 3.6-liter V6, an engine General Motors spread across a pile of different cars and SUVs. This engine is famous in the trade for one thing: timing chain trouble. The chains stretch, the guides wear, and it happens far faster on the many examples that did not get religious oil changes, because this engine punishes neglected oil harder than almost anything else on the road. And here is the arithmetic that makes it a never buy. On this engine, timing chains are not a simple front cover job. It is essentially an engine-out ordeal. $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 depending on how much damage got done before the owner stopped ignoring the rattle. On a used SUV worth $8,000 or $10,000, one timing chain job wipes out half the value of the vehicle. And these do not stop at one problem. Now here is the part that genuinely pains me, because I have watched this movie so many times. Somebody asks, I am choosing between a used Toyota, a Honda, and an Acadia. Which should I buy? And the answer is the Toyota. Obviously, no hesitation. And a week later they are driving the Acadia because it was $4,000 cheaper and $4,000 sounded like a no-brainer. It is not a no-brainer. It is the timing chain job, prepaid, with interest, and every single one of them says the same sentence later. I should have listened, so listen now while it is free. And let me pause here for the folks saying, Ray, I do not even know what engine is in the car I am looking at. Fair enough. Here are 4 easy ways. 1. Look at the registration or the sales paperwork. The engine is usually listed right on it. 2. Pop the hood and find the emissions label, the little white sticker with black print. It states the engine size plain as day. 3. Search the year, make, and model online and see what engines were offered. Then compare pictures of those engines to what you are looking at. And 4. The VIN number itself identifies the engine. The 10th digit area of that code tells the story. And there are free decoders all over the internet where you type it in and it tells you exactly what you have got. 30 seconds of homework, thousands of dollars of protection. If the decoder spits out any engine I name in this video, you are done. Walk away. Number 3, does not target any one brand, because the problem is not a brand, it is a category. Any European luxury car with more than 150,000 miles on it. Mini, Mercedes, BMW, Audi, Land Rover, Jaguar, all of them, I do not care which badge is on the hood. Past that mileage, these cars all converge on the same financial fate. They are never finished being fixed. You will never reach the day where you say, well, I got everything sorted, I am good for a while now. That day does not exist. It is a $1,000 to $3,000 repair every 3 to 6 months, forever, as suspension bits and electronics and seals and modules take turns raising their hands. And here is the trap, laid out in plain sight. These were $70,000, $90,000, $110,000 cars when they were new, and now they are for sale for $5,000 or $6,000, and your brain says bargain. Stop and ask the obvious question. Who is selling it, and why is it that cheap? The people wealthy enough to buy these cars new are exactly the people who dump them before the misery starts, because they know the second half of the story. The car is cheap because the people with the most information want out. Buying one is volunteering to be the person with the least information at the table. Let me sketch how ownership actually goes, because I watched this timeline play out in my shop for decades. Month 1, you love it. The doors close like a vault. The neighbors are impressed. Month 4, an air suspension fault, $1,200, and you tell yourself it is a one-time thing. Month 8, an electronic module and a cooling system plastic that turned brittle, $1,900, and now every warning chime makes your stomach drop. Month 14, an oil leak from somewhere that requires half the front of the engine to come off just to see, and the estimate has a comma in it, and the car sits in the driveway while you decide, and eventually you sell it cheap to the next optimist, and the cycle continues. It is the easiest thing in the world to pay $5,000 for one of these and put $10,000 into it over the next few years, and the whole time it will not even be fun, because a car that is always half broken is never fun. The badge costs extra twice. Once at the dealership and once a month at the shop. Do not buy one. Number 4. Back to a specific pair of engines, the General Motors 3.1 and 3.4-liter V6, which found their way into an enormous number of cheap GM sedans and minivans over the years. Now, I will be fair to the metal itself. These are actually not terrible designs, and one that has been genuinely maintained can live a decent life. The trouble is the intake manifold gaskets, which leak coolant into places coolant must never go, including into the oil, and once coolant gets into the oil, it destroys the bearings and the engine is done, not repaired, done. And here is why this lands on the never buy list anyway. These engines lived at the bottom of the used market, so they were bought, over and over by the exact owners least likely to maintain them. These are the most abused engines I ever saw in 50 years. No oil changes, no coolant service, nothing, just driven until the wheels fall off. So the intake gasket leaks a little and the owner nurses it along for a year, topping off the coolant and ignoring it. And by the time anybody looks at it seriously, the bearings have been running on chocolate milk and the engine is scrap. And on a car worth $1,500 or $2,000, even a salvage yard engine plus labor costs more than the whole car. It is financially totaled by a rubber gasket. If you are ever tempted by one anyway, here is your inspection ritual. Open the coolant reservoir and look for oily sludge floating in it. Pull the oil dipstick and look for milky, chocolate-colored oil, and if you see it, close the hood and leave. Do not even negotiate. Drive it and watch the temperature gauge like a hawk. But truthfully, the smartest inspection is the one where you never show up. There are so many better cars at this price. The old Buicks with the 3800 engine, for one, will run circles around these for the same money. Number 5, and this one is going to sting because it covers some of America's favorite trucks. Any truck or SUV with cylinder deactivation, which the manufacturers call AFM, active fuel management, on the GM side, or MDS, the multi-displacement system, on the Chrysler side. That means the 5.3 and 6.0 Vortec engines with AFM in the Chevys and GMCs, and the 5.7 and 6.4 Hemis with MDS in the Rams and the rest. The idea sounded clever in a meeting. Special lifters, run by oil pressure, shut down half the cylinders while cruising to save gas. The reality, on both companies' versions, is that these lifters fail constantly. They drop like flies. And when they fail expensively because of where they live. These special lifters are operated by oil pressure, which means the whole system depends on clean oil at the right pressure every second the engine runs, and the moment an owner stretches the oil changes or lets the level run low, those lifters are the first casualties. The little rollers on them ride on the camshaft, and when a lifter collapses or its roller turns sideways and stops rolling, it chews up the camshaft, wrecks the lifters, and in the worst cases can damage the block itself where the lifters sit. And on both of these engine families, there is no getting the camshaft and lifters out without pulling the cylinder heads off. People argue with me about that. They lose. The heads come off, and that is why every one of these jobs lands at $3,000 to $5,000. The warning sign is a tick or a chirp from the engine while it runs, a rhythmic little tapping that owners will swear is nothing. It is not nothing. It is the sound of a camshaft being machined by its own lifter. And before anybody types it, yes, there are delete kits that disable the deactivation system, and on a healthy engine that is a reasonable protective move. But a delete does nothing for the damage already done before you arrived. If those rollers already scored the cam, the countdown is running whether the system is switched off or not, and the heads still have to come off when it expires. Buying a used one of these is buying a mystery with a $5,000 penalty for guessing wrong. Do not buy the mystery. And number 6, the early 2000s Subarus. We all know the story by now. The head gaskets, it is practically a running joke in the trade. And I will say the fair part first. The cars themselves are decent, honest cars, and the engine is a decent engine once the head gasket problem has been properly fixed with the updated parts. All-wheel drive, practical wagons, loyal owners, there is a lot to like on paper. But getting that gasket fixed is the punchline, because on these flat engines, where the cylinders lie sideways and the heads hide against the frame rails, it is essentially an engine-out job, $2 to $4 grand at a proper shop, on cars mostly worth $3 to $5. Now here is the trap inside this one, and it is sneakier than you think. You would assume that after 20-something years, every one of these has either been fixed or junked, and the danger is over. Not true. They made millions of them, and there is a whole population still out there just barely getting by, nursed along by owners topping off coolant and pouring in stop leak, waiting for an optimist to buy them. And then 6 months after the sale, the gasket lets go completely, and it never fails. It is always somebody's kid, or friend, or neighbor calling about the Subaru they just bought. So here is your checklist if one of these tempts you. Open the coolant reservoir and use your nose. Stop leak. Has a distinct, awful smell, and it leaves brown or gray gunk all through the reservoir, and gunk in that bottle means somebody has been hiding the problem instead of fixing it. Drive the car and watch for fast overheating. And here is the sneaky one. Turn the heater on full. If there is no heat coming out at all, the cooling system is full of combustion gases and the head gaskets are on their way out. The only early 2000s Subaru worth buying is one with paperwork, real documentation from a reputable shop showing the head gaskets were done with updated parts. No records, no sale. That one rule alone will save somebody watching this thousands of dollars this year. So there is the list, the 2004 to 2010 Ford trucks with the 3-valve 5.4. Anything carrying the GM 3.6 timing chain special. Any European luxury car past 150,000 miles. The GM 3.1 and 3.4 with their coolant drinking intake gaskets. The cylinder deactivation trucks, AFM and MDS alike. And the early 2000s Subarus without head gasket paperwork. 6 groups of vehicles where the discount is not a discount, it is a warning label written in a language you now speak. And notice the pattern one more time because it is the same lesson underneath all 6. The purchase price and the ownership cost are 2 different numbers, and the market only shows you the first one. Every vehicle on this list looks affordable on the windshield and costs a fortune in the service bay, and the sellers know which number you are staring at. So the next time a deal seems too sweet on one of these, understand that you are not the discoverer of a bargain. You are the last buyer in a chain of people getting rid of a problem. Let it stay their problem. And so that I am not the fella who only tells you what not to eat, here is the other side of the menu in one breath. If you were shopping trucks from those Ford years, the same truck with the older 2-valve 5.4 or the smaller V8 is a different, far safer animal. If you wanted the 3-row family hauler, the Toyota Highlander is the answer the Acadia buyer should have taken the first time. If you wanted the luxury feel without the European bills, an older Lexus gives you the leather with Toyota bones underneath. And if you were shopping the bottom of the market where the 3.1 and 3.4 GM cars live, the old Buicks with the 3800 engine cost the same money and will outlive them all. There is always a reliable alternative at every price point. The trick is simply knowing both lists, and now you know this one. Down in the comments, tell me the never buy vehicle you learned about the hard way, what it was, and what the final bill came to. Those confessions save more wallets than anything I can say, and I read every single one. And if you have a friend or a kid shopping for a used car right now, send them this video before they sign anything, and tap the like button and subscribe while you are at it. Until then, check the engine before you check the price, and when in doubt, buy the boring Toyota. Don't let them sell you a repair you don't need. I'll see you in the next one.